Nancy Elise here of Bowman Library with a whole new middle grade book spotlight. So April is National Humor Month, so why not let's take a look at some books that we have here that are humorous and laugh out loud funny, because there are some pretty epic ones in this building in case you didn't know. So we have 6 of them we're going to look at, so let's get started. Our first one is the 13-Story Treehouse by Andy Griffith. So Andy and Terry legit live in an epic treehouse complete with like numerous rooms. Like they have a movie theater, they have a laboratory, they have a swimming pool, they even have a bowling alley. The two of them are these authors, and they're supposed to be writing a book together, but because of all the distractions in their treehouse, they've waited to actually the last day that it's due to write it. But that is not going to be as easy as what they think it's going to be, because naturally it's on this day that there are many zany problems that happen that they need to take care of. I'm talking like destructive monkeys, there's monster mermaids, and there's even some flying cats, because naturally, why not? If you love Diary of a Wimpy Kid or Big Nate, you will love this crazy adventure that's filled with drawings, so you can actually see how amazing this treehouse is. I mean, I'm talking, it's like you see everything that happens in this treehouse. It's pretty crazy. This is the first in a series, and every single book after the first one adds another 13 stories to the treehouse. So this treehouse keeps getting more and more epically incredible. So this is the 13-Story Treehouse. When Mischief Came to Town. So this humorous historical fiction story takes place in 1911, and that's when Inge goes to live with her grumpy grandmother on a small island in Denmark, which is like the last thing that she wants to do. She's not very happy about this change, and she decides, okay, I gotta make the best of this situation, and me being grumpy about it isn't going to really do that. So she decides that she's gonna try to think of ways to make this town maybe a little less boring. As craziness starts to ensue, the people of the town soon start to find themselves laughing more, and they're even playing games with animals, which has never even occurred to them before. And she decides, once she has the town conquered, she wants to take on her grandmother, and she wants to make her grandmother less grumpy, because that's going to be the hardest thing to do of all. So this book explores how humor can change a situation from bad to good, and it can even change a whole group of people for the better. If you love fairy tales, you will love this one, as they are intertwined throughout this whole story. This is When Mischief Came to Town. The Tapper twins go to war with each other. So twins Claudia and Reese find themselves in a full-scale prank war with each other. And Claudia decides that she kind of wants to go back to the beginning to figure out how this all actually happened. So we find out it all starts when Reese accused her of farting in the cafeteria. And he said it loud enough that everyone in the cafeteria, so everyone in their grade, heard him say this. And then Claudia then decides she needs to do something back to Reese to get back at him. And then the pranks then get larger and more crazy and more epic and more complicated. And then before they know it, there are people in the school that are taking sides, and they want to fight the other person, or they're supporting that person, and it just gets like so crazy. And both of them do not know what the limits are, though, until one of them crosses that line, and there are some actual real world consequences. This is told in diary and interview formats, and you'll be laughing out loud, also maybe getting some possible prank ideas, but make good decisions. This is the first in a series that's all about Reese and Claudia and their crazy things they do, either with each other or to each other. This is Tapper twins go to war with each other. Ungifted by Gordon Corbin, and I love Gordon Corbin. We've talked about some of his books on previous ones. Ungifted is no exception. So Donovan is a prankster. Everyone knows that's who he is. He's like this epic class clown, and the problem is that his pranks always seem to then be annoying his classmates and teachers. And not only do they annoy them, but for some reason the pranks he chooses to do, they have some epic dramatic results to them. When Donovan does a prank that goes too far and it gets out of control, his name ends up on a list in the principal's office. But instead of being on the list it's supposed to be on, his name actually ends up on a list that is for a group of students that is going to be sent to this school for gifted students. When he arrives, he soon finds that this is not where he is supposed to be, and he's completely out of his league in terms of everything because he doesn't fit in there. You know, his new peers do not, you know, they're not like him. You know, he's having a really hard time fitting in, but he soon finds himself actually being welcomed by these other students because he is different from them. He's almost like normal for them. Not only does he then find himself starting to like become friends with them, but also helping them, he also realizes that they are helping him as well, not only academically, but socially at the same time. There is a sequel to this humorous look at school and finding where you belong and what type of person do you really want to be. This is Ungifted. So welcome to Wonderland. This is Home Sweet Motel. This is like Chris Kravenstein. Like if you've read any of the Mr. Lemoncello books, if you've read any of like the funny middle school books, any of those, this is that guy. So you know how funny those were. You know what you're getting with this one. This is his new series. So 12-year-old PT lives with his family at the Wonderland Motel in Florida. His grandfather is the one who created this motel in the 70s, and everything was great up until, you know, Disney World started opening like all of their hotels and people wanted to stay there instead. And, you know, fast forward to when PT is 12 years old and living there, and there's like this epic $100,000 payment that's due on the loan, and it's due like in a couple of weeks, and they don't have the money to pay for it. So the result's gonna be is they're gonna lose the motel to this huge developer. Wanting to do something though, PT joins forces with his grandfather and a guest named Gloria, and they come up with an idea to save the hotel. Actually, they come up with a bunch of ideas to save the motel, but none of them are really that successful. But when two old jewelry thieves show up at the motel, they decide that they're there because they're gonna find the diamonds that they brought to the motel like decades ago, but they lost them there. So they're convinced the diamonds are still somewhere at the motel. And PT decides to use the situation to their advantage, and maybe they can find those missing diamonds first. If you love a humorous mystery, then you will love this one. Again, this is the first in this series. You will want to keep reading about what happens with PT as soon as you're done with this one. So this is Home Sweet Motel. And our last one is Payback on Poplar Lane. So Peter and Rachel live next door to each other, but they really aren't friends. Peter, though, ends up starting a business, and he asks Rachel to help him because he knows that she's really creative and she's also really good at writing, and she could add some stuff to his business. Rachel agrees. You know, her dad just lost her job, and she sees this as maybe her opportunity to help her family out as they're going through this hard time. But as she starts working with Peter, she realizes that she really cannot work with Peter, especially as he does not appreciate her help, and she quits. Rachel, though, does not just quit. She decides that she's going to make her own business, which competes directly with Peter's, and naturally, as it can only be, war is then declared between the two of them. And they soon start to try to not only one-up the other, but then they also try to sabotage and take each other down, and then they end up recruiting neighborhood kids to help them, and you will learn about both of their points of view because each chapter alternates between Peter and Rachel, and you'll be laughing out loud, and you'll be wanting to know what happens every single step of the way in this incredible realistic novel. This is Payback on Poplar Lane. So these are just 6 of the books that we have here down at Bowman that are humor-filled, laugh out loud, will want to, stay up. It's a nice light read. But we encourage you to come on down and either check out one of these, or we can help you find whatever perfect humor book you are looking for. I hope you tune back next week when we have a whole new middle grade book spotlight, and I hope you have a great week.